else that's also growing has to now fit 15%.
Well, let me guess, most of them, except for Caution, probably buying a lot of IP transit.
Yes. So here's the problem, Gary. If you keep going back to the transit providers, you're quadrupling how much you need to buy. Everybody is. And the transit providers themselves need it for themselves. So supply becomes limited. So you think, okay, well, that's not such a bad thing. The price will go up and then they'll have more money for investment. The demand outstrips the supply. Compounding that problem on this one particular route, New York to Miami, is the fact that Level 3 has been going through integration. They've been integrating the different networks that they bought. And, you know, it's a process, as everybody knows. But during that process, it was difficult for them to take on new orders, certainly new orders of magnitudes that are of this level. So they need to deploy entirely new systems, whole new dense wave, long haul systems, and also if they're selling transit routers, to meet the needs. So when you see this curve going up so sharply, that the networks that are trying to go from New York to Miami, which is to say they're really trying to connect Europe to Latin America through the United States, because that's where we sit geographically on planet Earth. And there aren't any transatlantic cables that connect South America to Europe of note. I think there's a couple, I'll get you the names. I don't think that they're, you know, tremendous networks. They're, you know, maybe they're going to build one to Africa, but then you have to get up the coast. You know what I mean? It's a problem. Okay. So, since these operators need to go between those 2 points to get to the landing stations, the bottleneck becomes the part in between. And since their requirements are increasing so much, the threshold, okay, the barrier to entry for buying your own fiber and lighting it has come way down. Because, oh yeah, it's a little problematic to have ILAs and regens, and you know, the Allied Fiber model is turnkey. All the colo sites and the power for the regens all up and down the line. You know, you just check the box, how many do you want, how much rack space, how much power do you need, blah, 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 there you go. The whole thing in a kit from New York to Miami and points in between. So because of the fact that IP growth, whether it's private or public or whatever, and video, which is really driving it, it's just like the exclamation point on it, because all that's happening. So the ISPs necessarily and the transport providers, they could try to keep up, but their customers are becoming bigger than them almost, in a sense. Not, you know, one-on-one, but for that particular route, it makes a lot of logical sense for these guys. So, like I said, it's a construction project. I know several hundred people in the business. I have spoken to a few just to make sure I'm sane. And without fail, they've all said yes. And they have same three questions. What's the price, what are the terms, and when it's going to be delivered? So I'm in the process of structuring the company at the moment, which is an operational model, a financial model. My equity partners are helping me do that. I'll retain control over the entity, and I'll write all the contracts for all the customers. You know, again, favorable terms, very favorable rates. I'm not, you know, it would be on par on the IRU price and actually lower in the O&M.
So if there's a potential customer or potential investor, how would they find you?
You can go to hunternewby.com at the moment. Yeah, I registered Allied Fiber. I haven't got the site up or anything. I mean, it's literally, this is happening right now. I mean, it's funny that we're talking about it, but yeah, they could just reach out to me through my website, hunternewby.com.
The prediction I've got is that actually Level 3, who you actually compete with, will be buying capacity on your route.
Yeah.
The reason for that being, everybody needs diversity, and as I understand it, the conduits that are moving that north-south traffic are on one physical route. You
Correct.
cut, everybody goes down. So
yes.
I'm guessing the railway rights away
is diverse.
Totally physically diverse.
Right. So, absolutely, and it's a great point. Even if all things were equal, and people could actually get dark fiber IRUs on the existing fiber, which it's difficult if it's at all possible, because obviously the service providers want to sell waves. I'm not lighting this glass. I'm just selling dark glass. But even if you could, to your point, you need diversity. And basically everybody's in the same corridor. The railroad is inland, westerly from the existing far. And that's important for a lot of reasons. Obviously physical, geographic diversity. On the Chicago piece that's being built, it'll be latency, because this route goes straight out of New York, straight through New Jersey, straight across Pennsylvania. Most of the other routes, and I don't know what percentage, I'm still doing my homework, they either go up to Albany and across, or they go down to Philly and up, or even down to Washington, D.C. and up. Just adds mileage, which adds latency. So yes, diversity, yes, latency, and these are the hot buttons. Also, it's my intention that the fiber route will, it comes through Front Royal, Virginia, and we intend to build a new segment on Front Royal into Ashburn, to Equinix, to Filigree. And I'll do that obviously with construction partners and all this stuff, the people that know that stuff, not me. But coming into Equinix from the west is unique. Nobody else does that. Everybody comes in from the east or the south. And again, New York to Ashburn is European traffic. European, it's basically everybody's just trying to get to the content that's at Equinix and Ashburn, which is one of the most, outside of PAX and Palo Alto, significant internet exchange peering points in the US. So the Chicago, New York piece is really driven by the financial markets, but also carrier business for transport and such. Plus, interestingly, requests for Chicago to Ashburn have come up, which is basically also an IP peering phenomenon, an Equinix 350 Cermac Chicago to Equinix Ashburn. So yeah, that's it. It's physical layer. To me, it just looks like a big real estate business, just a really long piece of real estate. And I think it's a very necessary thing. And also, even more benefits, the states, the Tennessee, Virginia, they all have these broadband development initiatives, economic development initiatives that all are tied to fiber. And my relationship with the railroad is obviously, very positive. They're a significant partner in this, in the sense that they get calls from the states and the schools and the government because they're the railroad, and they all want fiber, but they themselves can't build this whole big network because they don't see the international piece, which is really the foundation of it for me. It's connecting continents. They only need a couple pairs of fiber, but that's going to change their lives, because in certain parts of these states, there's really nothing, maybe one or two providers. You know what this will do. You could get on that fiber and be in 60 Hudson or 56 Marietta Street. You have access to everything in the world at wholesale rates. You can build diversity. You can build redundancy. You can get access to dozens of providers at wholesale rates. It changes the dynamics of those states, their viability to attract businesses from international, to keep and retain workers, skilled, educated workers, higher paying jobs, because they will have affordable broadband, which everybody's been talking about. And the studies were done in the 90s that proved that the difference between having a vibrant community and not is having broadband. That's what it boils down to. It's not, clean air. I mean, that's all important stuff and nice neighborhoods and whatever, but it comes down to broadband. You don't have broadband, people leave. They just go to...
that in Starbucks.
Yeah, you need a Starbucks.
Well, there's a Starbucks across the street from every other Starbucks.
And the Starbucks has Wi-Fi, so everyone lives around the Starbucks. But it's all tied to the significance of fiber, which is access to, communities and economies, and that is a very important part of Allied Fiber's model as well.
So that's what I love about this business. Just when you think there's this saturation in dark fiber or unlit glass, no, just diversity.
Or in anything. I mean, just when you think you have everything figured out and the market's pretty much done with innovation, there comes innovation from a new